Hey fellow hobbyists, in this quick tip, I'll be going over a quick and easy way to partition large STL models. There are three main reasons you may want to partition an STL model. The most obvious is it won't fit. Another reason is to minimize the consequence of failure. We all know that in 3D printing, sometimes things fail. The third reason is for more complex prints, it may make sense to partition them so that you can reorient different pieces of the same model so that you can optimize things. There are many software packages that will allow you to partition an STL. I'm going to show you how to do it in Fusion360. I think for the basic approach I'm trying to show you, which is just taking a thing and making it into smaller pieces, primarily by quadrants, it works really well for that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert our mesh. We don't want to do File, Open, and open our STL. We actually want to go to the Mesh menu and do Insert Mesh. From here, select from My Computer, that'll open your local file system, and then select the STL that we want to partition. You'll need to know what units your STL was modeled in. In my case, it's millimeters, which is the default selection for Fusion360. If yours isn't, select the right one and hit OK. Now that that mesh is in Fusion360, I can go ahead and do a planar cut. In my case, I'm going to take just the left side here. So I'm going to do a plane cut, and I need to show my origin. So I'm going to click this, and that will make this set of planes visible. So select the body, which is going to be this guy, and then select the cut plane. I need to cut away this right half, so I'm going to select this plane. And that, in my case, by default, happens to go right down the middle and get rid of the other part of the breastplate. I can change that, you know, if my model were different and I wanted a piece of it, but in my case, I want the cut right down the middle. So I'm going to leave it at those default values and hit OK. And that leaves me with 1/2 of the breastplate. Now that I have the STL partitioned in the way that I want, I can go ahead and save this file. I do have to save it before I can export it to STL. Fusion360 is a cloud-based system, and unless the file is in the cloud, it will not allow you to export it. So I need to go ahead and save this file. Now that it's saved, I can go export, select the type. I'm going to do STL binary, select my item, and then hit OK. Now this will open your slicer program and automatically load the new STL. If for some reason this doesn't work for you, it doesn't successfully open your slicer, or your slicer isn't in the list, there is another way to do this. You can go up here to File, Export, and you can pick STL, and it will then export that directly to your file system instead of opening your slicer software. Regardless of which way you've done it, we need to go back into our slicer and see our new STL. All right, so now I have a piece that will fit within my build volume. Now let's say though that you want to partition it and you wanted to cut it in half here. You wanted only half of the vertical height. Let's show you how to do that as well. Let's go back to Fusion360 and take the STL that we've already partitioned, and let's partition it again. So we want to go ahead and add another plane cut. So I have hidden my origin. I need to show that again. Now in this case, I want the same body, but I want a different plane. Last time I selected this plane. I need this plane now, and I'm just going to drag it down to the height I want to cut and hit OK. So now I have it at the height I want, but notice a little problem here. In this case, I actually cut through the material, through the STL itself, and it's open. If I try to export this directly to my slicer, I'm going to get an error about it being not a solid object, not a closed object, or another error that your slicer might give when you don't have an STL representing the full perimeter of the object. You can see how this side is closed. You can see the STL lines for all the triangles it's created versus this side being open. Now, when you cut through the material of a STL like that, it's really easy to fix. You just highlight the body and hit repair. Again, this is the quick, simple tip on how to do this, so I'm going to accept all the defaults and hit OK. You can read into what those are and get a lot more options and refinement to generate a different kind of top surface, but this one will work fine for us. You can now see that my top surface has closed itself in with some inefficient shapes, but it's closed in nonetheless. This I can now go through and export just like I did before. Select my body, hit OK. And my slicer loads now with the shorter object. This quick tip was an intentionally simple look at how to partition large STLs. As you notice, we really only looked at things like orthogonal planes. We accepted a lot of default settings. If you need to go deeper in this, there are extensive videos that really go through each setting in things like Mesh Mixer or even Fusion360. I hope that this simplified look at partitioning STLs was helpful to you, and thanks for watching.